And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and the name had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, elder of his household, who ruled over all things that were his, put your hand, pray, under my thigh, that I may make you swear by the name, Elohim of the heavens and Elohim of the earth, that you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanite, in whose midst I dwell, but to my land and to my birthplace you shall go, and you shall take a wife for my son, for Isaac. And the servant said to him, perhaps the woman will not want to come after me to this land. Shall I indeed bring your son back to the land you left? And Abraham said to him, watch yourself, lest you bring my son back there. The name Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my birthplace, and who spoke to me, and who swore to me, saying, to your seed will I give this land. He shall send his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman should not want to go after you, you shall be clear of this vow of mine. Only my son you must not bring back there. And the servant put his hand under Abraham's thigh, and he swore to him concerning this thing. And the servant took 10 camels from his master's camels, with all the bounty of his master in his hand, and he rose and went to Aram Naharaim, to the city of Nahor. And he made the camels kneel outside the city by the well of water at eveningtide, the hour when the water-drawing women come out. And he said, the name Elohim of my master Abraham, pray, grant me good speed this day, and do kindness with my master Abraham. Here I am poised by the spring of water, and the daughters of the men of the town are coming out to draw water. Let it be that the young woman to whom I say, pray, tip down your jug, that I may drink. If she says, drink, and your camels too, I shall water. She it is whom you have marked for your servant, for Isaac, and by this I shall know that you have done kindness with my master. He had barely finished speaking when, look, Rebekah was coming out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her jug on her shoulder, and the young woman was very comely to look at, a virgin, no man had known her. And she came down to the spring and filled her jug, and came back up. And the servant ran toward her and said, pray, let me sip a bit of water from your jug. And she said, drink, my lord. And she hurried and lowered her jug onto her hand and let him drink. And she let him drink his fill and said, for your camels too, I shall draw water until they drank their fill. And she hurried and emptied her jug into the trough. And she ran again to the well to draw water, and drew water for all his camels. And the man was staring at her, keeping silent, to know whether the name had granted success to his journey. And it happened, when the camels had drunk their fill, that the man took a gold nose ring, a bekah, in weight, and 2 bracelets for her arm, 10 gold shekels in weight. And he said, whose daughter are you? Tell me, pray, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? And she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. And she said to him, we have an abundance of bran and feed, as well as room to spend the night. And the man did obeisance and bowed to the name, and he said, blessed be the name, Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not left off his steadfast kindness toward my master, me on this journey. The name led to the house of my master's kinsman. And the young woman ran and told her mother's household about these things. And Rebekah had a brother named Laban, and Laban ran out to the man by the spring. And it happened, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's arm, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, Thus the man spoke to me, he came up to the man, and look, he was standing over the camels by the spring, and he said, Come in, blessed of the name, why should you stand outside? When I have readied the house and a place for the camels. And the man came into the house and unharassed the camels, and he gave bran and feed to the camels, and water to bathe his feet, and the feet of the men who were with him, and the food was set before him. But he said, I will not eat until I have spoken my word. And he said, Speak. And he said, I am Abraham's servant. The name has blessed my master abundantly, and he has grown great. He has given him sheep and cattle and silver and gold and male and female servants and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master after she had grown old, and he has given him all that he has. And my master made me swear, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. But to my father's house you shall go, and to my clan, and you shall take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, Perhaps the woman will not come after me. And he said to me, The name in whose presence I have walked shall send his messenger with you, and he shall grant success to your journey, and ye shall take a wife for my son from my clan and my father's house. Then you shall be clear of my oath. If you come to my clan and they refuse you, you shall be clear of my oath. And today I came to the spring and said, Oh, the name, Elohim of my master Abraham, if you are going to grant success to the journey on which I come, here I am poised by the spring of water, and let it be that the young woman who comes out to draw water, to whom I say, Let me drink a bit of water from your jug, and she says to me, Drink, and for your camels too I shall draw water. She is the wife that the name has marked for my master's son. I had barely finished speaking in my heart, and look, Rebekah was coming out, her jug on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. And I said to her, Pray, let me drink. And she hurried and tipped down the jug that she carried, and said, Drink, and your camels too I shall water. And the camels too she watered. And I asked her, saying, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, whom Milcah bore him. And I put the ring in her nose, and the bracelets on her arm, and I did obeisance, and bowed to the name, and blessed the name, Elohim of my master Abraham, who guided me on the right way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And so if you are going to act with steadfast kindness towards my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn elsewhere. And Laban and Bethuel answered and said, From the name this thing has come. We can speak to you neither good nor evil. Here is Rebekah before you. Take her and go, and let her be wife to your master's son, as the name has spoken. And it happened, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed to the ground to the name. And the servant took out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments, and he gave them to Rebekah, and he gave presents to her brother and her mother, and they ate and drank, he and the men who were with him. And they spent the night and rose in the morning, and he said, Send me off that I may go to my master. And her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us 10 days or so, then she may go. And he said to them, do not hold me back when the name has granted success to my journey. Send me off that I may go to my master. And they said, let us call the young woman and ask for her answer. And they called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? And she said, I will. And they sent off Rebekah their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. And they blessed Rebekah, and said to her, our sister, become hence, myriads teeming. May your seed take hold of the gate of its foes. And Rebekah rose with her young women, and they mounted the camels, and went after the man. And the servant took Rebekah and went off. And Isaac had come from the approach to Beer Lahai Roi, as he was dwelling in the Negeb region. And Isaac went out to stroll in the field toward evening. And he raised his eyes and saw, and look, camels were coming. And Rebekah raised her eyes and saw Isaac, and she alighted from the camel, and she said to the servant, who is that man walking through the field towards us? And the servant said, he is my master. And she took her veil and covered her face. And the servant recounted to Isaac all the things he had done. And Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and took Rebekah as wife. And he loved her. And Isaac was consoled after his mother's death.